Many of us are living a life of helplessness these days. Some people have this belief that they could never solve their own problem. They could never fix their own problem. That every problem they have in their life has to come from um, a fixer from the outside, an enabler, a helper, so to say. They believe they are powerless in their own ability to take control of their life. They need a fixer in their own life. Like they can never fix anything in their life without the help or without an outside help. They look up, they look down, they look sideways, but never looking at themselves. They seem to blame everyone around them, every other person but themselves. For every problem they have, there is someone somewhere to blame. For whatever their life have turned out to be, it's never them, it's never their fault. It's either the circumstance, the weather, the country, the people around them, their neighbor, their height, their weight, their color, their brother, their father, the economy. It's never their own fault, but always other people's fault. Therefore, it's other people that have to fix their own life. So one thing this victim mentality does, it in the short term it makes them feel good. It makes you feel good when you don't have to blame yourself for how you've turned out. Of course, you have the high when everything you've gone through is because someone else somewhere has put you in that situation. It makes you feel good. Of course, who would look themselves in the eye and say to themselves, I am a failure. I have failed totally. Everything up to this point in my life, it's down to me. I have not held myself accountable. Who would do that? No one who spends their time blaming other people, relying on outside circumstances to change their life. Like where I grew up from, they say it's a helper. You have to wait for a helper to come and fix your life, to helper to come and change your life. So many people abandon everything they need to do, everything they need to learn, all the skill they need to work on to grow, and then they run to a worshiping center of some sort to pray and wait for helper. And why the time keeps going, they're not building any skill, they're not developing themselves, they're not working on themselves, they're not growing, they're not enlightening themselves. They just keep waiting for helper. And 5-10 years down the line, there's no helper, then they blame another person. It's always someone else's fault, but never their own fault. There's a saying by Jim Rohn. It's not my brother, it's not my father, it's not my neighbor, it's not the economy, but dear Lord, it is me. So only those who get rid of that victim mentality, because the victim mentality, it's good for the short term. The short term, you get all the sorry, the pity, the attention you seek, but it's only for a short time. Because after a while, people start to tag you with that, and when they see you coming from afar, they run away. Because who wants to be, even take yourself for instance, do you constantly want to be in a place of unhappiness? And that's what the people who go around with this victim mentality, that's what they bring, unhappiness. And no one wants to be that. Even you don't want to be that person. So after a while, people start running away from you, because everyone wants to be uplifted. No one wants someone that puts them down every time, someone who's always about negativity. You go on social media these days, you see it pasted everywhere. People posting, of course, a lot of people are going through different things. No one had that. No two people has the same journey. You might start from the same place, but circumstances change. So of course, we are going through different things. But that person who it's like their go-to every day to paste the pain they're going through, like things are always bad for them. They are always in the worst situation. No one has more pain than them. They always want to outpain you. If you have your pain is 1 to 10 degree, there is like from 10 to 20 degree. Everything bad is happening to you, they in a worse situation. No one wants to be around those people. So as Jim Rohn says, it's not your economy, it's nothing, but it is you. It is you. These people, they have a list of things to blame, people to blame, but not themselves. They exclude themselves from every single thing. They focus on helpers. And what happens is that this blaming of other people leads to a life of helplessness. It closes you off to anyone that could actually assist you. Because number one, they're tired of your stories, they're tired of your blame story, they're tired of your criticism, they're tired of being around negativity all day. Most people want to help someone who's already working towards something, who's already growing, who's already investing something of their own. No one wants to help someone who doesn't want to help themselves. No one wants to help someone who cannot spend time with themselves and think, how do I grow? How do I, where do I start from? Me. And I know why people tend to focus on blaming other people. Because it's easy. It feels good. Why try to solve your own problem when you can just hand it off to someone else and feel good that it's that person's fault? We all love to point fingers. We all focus on pointing one finger at the direction, but we forget the other 3 fingers point back at us. We focus, just our attention is on that index finger that points out. We never focus on the other fingers that point at ourselves. And if you try it, you see, like, when you point one finger forward, there's always 3 pointing at you. So that means you have to start with yourself first. You have to work on yourself. We humans, we're like seeds. Everything we need to grow is inside of us. It's only those that get to the top, they build it over years, they work on it, they develop it, they try and they fail. You cannot grow, you cannot become anything through blaming others, to being a victim. You check anything. No victim has, once you have that victim mentality, you can never become where you need to be. Because at the back of your mind, that's your mentality, that's your goal, that's your place to be. You always want to feel bad. And subconsciously, because you always want to feel bad, you're never going to get to a place where you grow, you flourish. Because that's totally against your character. Your character is to feel sad, to feel pity, to feel depressed, to feel you've been taken advantage of. That is your go-to place. And when you always trying to break away from that character, it's difficult for you to now get to a place where you feel you, because then that's not who you are. So why a lot of us tend to get to nowhere is our focus is on other people. We focus too much on other people helping us than us helping ourselves. Only those who can accept where they are. We all go through different things, different pain every day. Not like you have to shut your pain off, cut your pain. No. You go through your pain, accept it, find a way to get over it just like us, but then you start afresh and pick a destination and go somewhere. You cannot grieve from the rest of your life. Of course, sometimes we want to do that, but we have to pick ourselves up and start something new and start building something new, a new goal, a new destination, a new us, like they say. Every year, people say, a new me, a new me. But a new me with the same footstep, the same destination, the same heart, the same thinking, the same mind. It's the same old you. Everything starts with the mind, not the action, with the mind, the thinking. Of all the books I've read, Dr. Schwartz, Habit of Big Thinking, Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, James Allen, As a Man Thinketh. Everything is about decision, is about thinking. If you're always thinking you're a victim, you become a victim. It's simple. Your mind controls you. Everything you do, the decision has been made prior to the action. So whatever you think you are, you become. James Allen says, as a man thinketh. Even in the Bible, it is in the Bible. Like, the way you think is the way you become, because you cannot separate how you think from how you react, from your action. You're guided by it. That's your personal GPS. That's your personal sat nav. It directs you. It leads you. It guides you. It becomes who you are. So stop trying to be that victim. Of course, you might suffer a lot of things, but if you keep thinking like a victim, you will always be a victim. A lot of people who have suffered the worst casualties in the world, but when you get to the place where you pick yourself up and say, this is left to me, when you accept your deficiencies, when you accept your downfalls, when you accept your weaknesses, when you accept you've not been born with a silver spoon, when you accept your humble beginning, then you decide to go for what you need to go in spite of this. That's what makes the winners. That's what brings people who are celebrated. In spite. Not everyone who's successful today has all the opportunity in their life, but some kept on going despite of all their downfall, despite of all the obstacles, despite of all that has happened to you. You pick up one book today, you see someone who's gone through hell and then they've come out on the other side. It's not where you start from, it's where you are. I've grown up with a lot of people who have this victim mentality. Whatever you do for them is never enough. That's because their whole life is dependent on other people making a change in their life. They say, my brother did not build a house for me, my brother did not buy a car for me, my brother did not feed my children, my brother did not send my kids to school. It's always someone else doing something for them and their family. They take themselves totally outside of the issue, outside of the circumstance. My brother is successful, why should I have to work for anything? They're constantly in that place of looking for someone to make something happen for them. No wonder 5, 10, 20 years they never became anything, because they have given up the power of the mind, the power of thinking, the power of opinion, the power of choice, the power that separates human from animal, the power to think. The power in human is that power of choice, the power of ability. That's why someone could be, they said a leopard could never change their skin or their spots, but human could. One human could live one way 5 years and go away, learn something new, and live totally different for the rest of their life. That's because humans have the ability to change, ability to learn new skill, ability to adapt, ability to be different. And this whole ability lies within that person, within us. Because why? We lack a seed. Everyone that has problem has to first look at themselves. What can I change? What can I work on? What can I grow? What amount of time do I need? How many mistakes do I need to make? What direction do I need to go? It always has to be you. Everyone that would help you have to see what you're working on. I was reading a book one day and someone says, oh no, I think I was listening to a podcast, and I can't remember who it was now, and the person was saying they've stopped giving their time to people who actually are not willing to give their own time to themselves. So it's like, why should I come and help you? Why should I come and rescue you if you're not even willing to pay attention to your own life? Why do I need to do that? If you think your life is not worth your own time, why waste my own time? And that's how people see people who go about now with this victim mentality, blaming of other people, thinking whatever they're going to is because of other people. They are where they are because of other people. They have nothing to blame. But the same person you're blaming that has to come and change your life, they've come from the same, on most times, most occasions. You're blaming your brother, you're blaming your sister. They have the same upbringing as you. They have decided to make something of their own life. But now you're sitting back and you want them to come and change your own life. I was reading a book or listening to Les Brown the other day, or is it Jim Rohn? And he was saying there's these two brothers from the same dad, from the same mom, but their dad was an alcoholic. So he hits their mom, and he drinks every day. It becomes very violent, both to the kids and to the mom. And these two kids grew up, two boys, and one became a drunkard, just like the dad. And the other one became totally responsible, exactly opposite the dad. But then when you ask the drunkard, why do you drink? He's like, of course I drink. Can't you see my dad is a drunkard? That's where I came from. Why shouldn't I drink? Of course I drink. It's the fault of my dad. That's why I drink. So that's victim mentality. They're taking away the blame from themselves. But then the other kid is saying, of course I would never drink. Of course I want to be totally different from my dad. Don't you see who my dad is? Do I want to be that person? So exactly the same people, but totally different outlook on life. One decide to blame the dad and go down that route, and one decide to look at themselves. So only those people who look at themselves are those who take responsibility for their lives, because they know every other thing lies with them, nothing else. Everything lies with them. They're becoming something in life, lies with them. They're feeling in life, lies with them. It doesn't lie outside of them. So I spend a lot of my time around where I grew up and around different people. And I see a lot of people who spend the biggest proportion of their day, when they should be learning some skill, trading, developing, they spend it in some worship center, kneeling and praying every single day. Every single day. They give up the hope of them being able to go out and work on something, build on something, develop something. They give up all that, and then they go somewhere hoping and praying for a supernatural delivery. And I was listening to a preacher one day, I can't remember his name, and he was saying to his audience, the reason why most of you are here today is you're in search of wealth, you're in search of supernatural victory. That if most of you are successful, you wouldn't be here today. Why? Because you will be somewhere trying to manage your fund, trying to grow your company, trying to grow your skill. You wouldn't be here today folding your hands and praying. The reason why most of you are here today is because you believe there's no way you can advance your life by yourself. It has to be from an external source. That's why you're here today, folding, praying, wishing. And I think that's true. That most of us who abandon our life, that's because we think there's no way we could go from A to B on our own. We need a supernatural assistance. And then we'll give up our life for the life of favor. We'll go to somewhere where they tell us we should just keep praying. There's going to be a helper. That helper is going to come. In 5-10 years, you're dead. And when you walk, someone's giving you a prophecy that, oh, he could see this, they could see that. You should just keep praying and wishing and paying this and paying that. That helper is going to come. But that person who's telling you they're carrying out that services, they haven't stayed in their room and keep praying, waiting for help. But they're telling you to do that. Why? Because they've looked at you and they've seen that you are reliant on someone. You've made yourself the victim. Now it's time to be exploited. So the victim mentality would not get you anywhere. The victim mentality will keep you where you are. The blame mentality would keep you behind. While everyone is striving to make something for their life, you will remain in the same place. I see this now. People who cannot feed, who cannot eat 1 square meal a day, they take their life savings and give to someone else, waiting for a miracle. They pay their life's earning into something, waiting for a miracle. Why? Because they don't have that faith in themselves to dig themselves outside the ditch. They don't have that belief in themselves. They don't have that power that they are created with the supernatural power inside of them, that whatever they seek is within them. The power to be something different is within them. The power, a tree grows from a seed. Of course, it needs a good environment, water, sun, rain, wind, soil to become a tree. But the main source, it's in that seed. Nothing else, the rain, the sun, the weather, will enhance that seed if it hasn't got the seed, the power inside it to become a tree. Nothing else. So when you run away to different places and seeking different intervention in your life, nothing else will make you become something except you have that thing in you to become something. It has to be in you. The power is already in you. It's placed in you from the day you were born. If you think I'm lying, once you can realize and look yourself, you have that power to say no and the power to say yes. That is decision. You have the power to make decision. Well, if you have the power to make decision, you have the power to change your life. Because as far as you can say no to something, it means you're saying yes to something. When you say yes to something, it means you're saying no to something. If you have that power in you, you have the power to change your life. Because that's evidence that you have the power of choice. You have the power to help yourself or the power to wait. You have the power to go or the power not to go. So get rid of the victim mentality. We all suffer through whatever, different things, but it is your choice to become something, to grow yourself, to develop yourself, to work on something. Very few things happen overnight. All the people who will say, who are celebrated, it's over years of practice, over years of taking responsibility, over a year of hitting home runs, over a year of striking out, over a year of practicing, repeated failures. And they keep learning along that way. But what victim mentality stops you from doing, it stops you from building all these career paths of failures, of experiences. Why? Because it's so difficult to fail. You never want to try because you never want to fail. And if you don't fail, you don't have the experience of becoming better. That's what the victim mentality stops you from doing. It puts you in a place where you just fold your hand and pray because you're so scared of trying and failing. But if you don't try and fail, you don't have those skills, you don't have this experience. That's why it's necessary to take charge of your life. It's necessary to work on yourself. It's necessary to develop yourself. It's necessary to take action. It's just like when I go to a religious center, there's a lot of people there praying for husbands, a lot of people praying for wives, a lot of people. And you go outside, a lot of people are getting married and doing everything, and you think, what are you praying for? We attract like. You have to develop something that is attractive to another person to get attracted to you. When you fold your hands, you're not working in yourself, you're not working in anything for anyone to be attracted to. Of course, in the eyes of God, we're all the same, but as human, we are attracted to something. But if you haven't developed something, a good character, a good look, a good physique, a good career, you have to develop something that becomes attractive to another person. You cannot keep the same you without working on anything, without developing yourself, and you want to be attracted to the best. Why? Because we all want helper. We all seek this divine intervention, that someone is going to overlook all our flaws and just pick us up and make us something. And why we at these worship centers praying and fasting and folding our hands and waiting for helpers, those who we consider the worst of the worst are out there getting married to the best husband, growing, developing, having the best career. Why? Because they're out there working on themselves. They might be doing the wrong thing to us, but they're working on something, therefore they're attractive. Therefore people could see them grow, either physically, either somehow. We are human. We attracted to something. So you go there, you fold your hands and you keep praying and praying and praying, but then you're not developing anything. But that person who you consider the worst of the worst, they are growing in some way. Someone is paying attention to them. They are networking. And tomorrow they're getting married, but you're sitting like, wow, this person that is the worst of the worst. They did this, they did that. But they have spent the same time building on something. That's why it all is about your action. The thing that gets you from A to B is action. Action, action, action. That's why you have to kill the victim mentality. If you want to grow, if you want to develop, if you want to become something else, you have to start working on actions, on steps. First, you have to believe that everything you need to become something is already in you. You are the solution to your own problem. Of course, we all need assistance. Of course, we all need helpers. But we have to have something to present when they come. That's why we should first look into ourselves and start working towards something. But if you just keep hoping and waiting that something will change without changing, Jim Rohn says for something to change, you need to change. For the economy to change, for you to become something, you have to have something to give. Everything has a price. Life is like a restaurant. You go, you order whatever you want to eat. Of course, you get served, but then you have to pay before you leave. That is the price. You want seafood, you go to the best seafood restaurant, you order this food, you pay. You want to have the best view, you go to the Shard. You pay for the view, you pay for the food. When you leave, they give you the bill. So everything you want in life, you have to pay for it. That's the same. There's a lot of people who seek just happiness. They quit their life, they go everything, they take a life of poverty. They go somewhere and cross their finger because why? They don't want to give anything for anything. But that as well is, there's a cost. It means you're giving up everything because you don't want to pay for it. So him that wants to constantly be in that victim mentality, it means they say nothing comes to those who wait. Nothing comes to those who wait. What is it? The early birds, it's the early worm or something like that. So those who get up and doing, those who take action, those who push themselves, they become something. They say nothing comes to those who wait. Only scraps, only leftover. You take an example of the developing world. Everything that goes back to the developing world, it's a leftover, it's used, it's tokumbo, it's second hand. Both the clothes, both the cars, everything that goes, it's a third world class. That's because most people wait, and for everyone who waits, the only thing that comes to you, it's leftover. No one would ever give you first class thing when they consider you a third class person. That's because a first class person will go out and take. They would never wait. But when you keep waiting, the only thing that comes to you, it's left over. I used to hear this every time when I go back home, and people say, oh, that person is so good, that person is so, this person, they rather associate with a foreigner than a local person, because they feel that foreigner is willing to give, is willing to give, is willing to give. People always like helpers. But that foreigner is able to give because they earn in a different currency. So they can give you the leftover. Because it matters, it doesn't count, it's nothing to them. When they convert £1 to your currency, it's nothing to them, so they can afford to give leftover. But when you come over into their own economy, and now you living side by side with them, you're working side by side with them, you're in the same competition, then they become a different person, because now you're a competition. You're no more accepting their leftover, because their leftover doesn't count for you. So that's why it's so easy to give when you go into the development world, because you're giving your leftover, you're giving something that amounts to nothing. I used to know this guy who lived in Portugal, and later he moved to London. So when I was in Africa, whenever he comes back home, he gives so much. He gives to everyone, buys you drink, food, whatever. He gives everyone. Is like he is like the helper. And then maybe a few years I moved to London, and then we became neighbor, and then we start going for the same thing. Then he became the most horrible person, because now I wasn't able to accept his leftover anymore. We competed for the same resources. Then I became a competitor. So that person who gave everything before now became a competitor, because now we went for the same thing, because I wasn't willing to take the leftover anymore, the scrap anymore. And that's why some people would give you, because it means nothing to them. And that's why being a victim, you only accepting the scrap. No one will ever give you something that's going to make you, going to put you up to somebody, that's going to make you become a competitor, that's going to bring you side by side to them. Why would anyone who has an employee want to set the employee free? Because no one wants that competition. People always want to be in the position of giving. So get rid of that victim mentality. If you want to survive, if you want to become something of your own, of course, praying and fasting, we all need supernatural intervention in our life. We all need luck. But most time you make your own luck by building a skill, building something, working on something. Someone is willing to help you when you have something to present. It's like if you go into a bank and say, I want to borrow 1 million. If they look into your account and you have 1 million, they quickly give you that 1 million. Why? Because now you have come halfway. Therefore, they know if you can make 1 million, them giving you 1 million is not a problem. But you walk into the bank today, having 10K in your account, and say, I want 1 million. They chase you out as fast as a fly. That's because no one would give you anything worthwhile if you know what it. First, they look you go to anywhere you want something. First, they have to value you. They have to run a credit check. They have to see if you want that, what you request. So if you are just thinking you're going to become something, you're going to change your life or love your family, playing victim for the rest of your life, you better think it again. You better have a second thought. You better reconsider, because all you're gonna get are left over. All you're gonna get is something no one wants. You will end up becoming a victim, and then you pass that on to your kid. Before you know it becomes a victim generation. Wicked says, we all start from different places. Why? Because all fingers are not equal. We can't all start from a gold, silver spoon, but it's up to us to make something of our life. It's up to us to change. It's up to us to grow. It's up to us to work on ourselves. It's up to us to develop. Even the Bible says walk and then pray. It doesn't say just pray, pray, pray. It says walk and pray. That's because you invested something and then you look for favorable weather. Just like the farmer, you plant and then you hope for favorable weather. You don't just hope for favorable weather without planting. When the rain comes, when you have the favorable weather, nothing would grow. So when you play victim mentality, have something for us to give. Because every single thing has a price. Nothing goes for nothing. Nothing goes for nothing. I've seen people complain about everything in this world but them. But have you taken a step to look at yourself and say, what can I change? What can I grow? If I can't help myself, how can I start helping my next generation? What can I start investing in them? Do I start maybe encouraging them to read more, to do something to change their life? If I feel my life is over, I can't impact myself, how can I impact the next generation? Or do you just hope and pray and fold your hands and hope things will be okay? People will hand you their best. I've seen so many people who they've been in this position. You pick them up and you say, look, how can I help you? Or they're so excited, you want to help them start a business, start something. They're so excited. Okay, I'm going to do this and do that. After the first 2-3 weeks, they abandon it. All the plan you have in place for them to become something, they let it go. And then they run to someone and fold their hands and wait for a gift. Why? Because they always just want someone just to keep giving. They never want to work for it. I've seen so many people I've worked with before set up a business, put in a plan. This is a 1-year plan. If we start from here, if we keep doing this, and after 3 months they quit. Why? Because they can't see themselves doing that every single day to grow. They just want someone to keep giving. They have put themselves in a place of taking, of requesting, of waiting. They've taken themselves out of the category. They can't see themselves becoming something without someone just giving. It's not one, it's not two. Starting so many things with people from scratch. Okay, but some people haven't got that ability. They are born small-minded, and if you always have to be in that mentality state, it's difficult to change. It's difficult to make them see a bigger picture. It's difficult to take them from A to B. Why? Because they are still in that place. They've never left that place where they are. They just want someone to change their life without them being involved. They just want to be like the wind. They allow the wind to carry them to their destination without actually changing their sail. So playing victim mentality does not help you, does not change your life, it does not get you to where you want to be. Because most people who want to grow will leave you, will walk away from you, because they don't want that negativity around them. As they say, negativity attracts negativity. No one wants that. Even you yourself, you always want someone to cheer you up. And then every day you take your problem to someone else. So victim mentality would not see you through, will not change your life, will not help you, will not help your kids, will not lead you to where you ought to be. But working on yourself, developing something, growing something from scratch, then people will come and they say, regardless of where you are, if you have something to offer, people will find you. So those people who you think they live in wayward life, they're doing all sorts of horrible things, and then they are successful. That's because they have something to offer. Life is all about give and take. They have something to offer. That's why people would come and find them. And then you wonder, why is no one coming to find you? Why are you praying and fasting every day without nothing changing? That's because, unlike a seed that has something to grow, you haven't actually planted anything. You haven't dug the soil and planted any seed. You're just praying for favorable weather to grow an imaginary seed. And when the rain comes, it wets the floor. There's nothing to sprout. Why? Because you haven't put in anything. Everything has a price. Every single thing has a price. You just choose the price to pay. That's what Jim Rohn says. Find a problem you like solving. That is just it. There's always problem in this world, everywhere. There's countless of problems. The only thing is just find the one you love solving, because to get from A to B, you need to keep solving problem. And that's why people are going to come to you, because you become a problem solver. You just need to solve a problem. But the only difference, like, you find a problem you enjoy solving. So when people bring that problem to you, you wouldn't become bored. You're never going to become bored, because you love to solve problem, and it's problem you love solving, and then you keep solving it. The more you solve, the better you get. But to go about life thinking you don't have to solve any problem, you don't have to fix any other person's problem, just you, then just ask yourself this question: where do you sit? What are you contributing? Because life is full of problems. You just have to pick the one you love to solve. And the more you solve it, the more better you get, the more experience you get. Choose your problem. Choose the problem you love to solve. And then see yourself grow. Of course, you can pray and fast, but pray and fast that the divine miracle should assist you in getting better in solving your problem that you've chosen. As I say, have a point of prayer, but let it be a plan towards something. Maybe you're writing a book, you keep sending out, the book is being rejected. You just have to keep trying and keep trying to write a better book, a better story. But you're never going to stop, because one day your book is going to get picked. I don't know if you've read about Charles Bukowski. Charles Bukowski was a writer, a poet, and a self-acclaimed loser. But Charles Bukowski had this belief that he was a loser. So Charles Bukowski was trying to become a writer, and he kept on writing books and sending to different authors, and his book was rejected years after years, and he kept on writing. But Charles Bukowski, even though he believes he was a loser, he drinks too much, and every time his book is rejected, he gets angry, he drinks a lot more. He was working in the post office, a job he hates, but he kept on trying to become a writer, even though his book was rejected every time. And whenever the book was rejected, he gets more upset, he drinks even more, but he kept on writing. So at the age of 50, when he's almost giving up hope, like a small publisher took some interest in him and accepted his book. And so for Charles Bukowski, he had an option. Either he goes out there, starves while he's trying to become a writer, or he carries on working at the post office and being unhappy every day and keeps on drinking. So he decided he's going to quit his post office job and focus mainly on becoming a writer, and that he might die trying to become a writer, but he's going to go for it because he's been so unhappy for the rest of his life. And Charles Bukowski ended up writing 6 books and hundreds of poems, and his first book was simply titled The Post Office, a place he hated so much, but he has to endure that. But the thing is, the why I'm telling you the story about Charles Bukowski is, when Charles Bukowski died, on his gravestone, he wrote, "Do not try." So the thing is, like, even though Charles Bukowski believed he was a loser, even when he became a drunk, when he became a poet, he still drank so much. But the thing is, he kept on trying. So there was the skill to offer. When someone came, he had something to give. He kept on writing, even though he was being rejected, even though he was upset, even though he believed he was a victim. He kept on working on something. He had a skill, he had something to give for something. But the problem is, like, most of us have nothing to give because we fold our hands and we just wish and pray and become a victim. So when the time comes, you're looking for help, or what is the helper coming to help you with? What are they attracted to? You have nothing for them to be attracted to. So the thing is, regardless of how you feel, either you feel like you're a victim or not, you have to have something to offer when the time comes. Because it's based on that thing that someone is going to change your life, someone is going to pull you out, someone is going to give you an opportunity. Let's see a lot of people who says they want to blow, they want to, they're waiting on contract, they want to have. But what are you waiting for when you have nothing to give? When you have no skill to offer in that field? And do you think people who spend years and years working on that same skill, trying and failing, building on career capital, they should be overlooked in your favor? And then you get the opportunity, and then when you get there, nothing to offer. Is that how you see it? If it happens that way, would that be justice for the person who's continuously been working hard, giving everything towards something, and now you are picked over them? So that's the thing about, regardless of how you feel, regardless of what you're going through, you have to continuously keep working on something. Keep refining something, keep building on something, keep trying to grow something, because it's that something that's going to attract whoever you seek, your helper, salvation. It's that something, it's that skill that's going to change something for you, that people are going to look and say, yes, I'm attracted to that. I'm willing to help that person because they have something to offer. They have something they are working on. Maybe they just need a bit of push to get them to where they need to be. It's that something that you should hold on to, because it's that something that's more likely to change your life. Is that something that is more likely to bring you to a different audience? Is that something that's more likely to open doors for you? So even when Charles Bukowski, he drank so much, he slept with any women he could come across. He swore at people, but he still had something to offer. So people had something they could try to help him with. There was something there. Someone could say, okay, I'm going to help this guy with this because he has this. So going back to what I said, everything has a price. everything has a price. Every problem needs a solver. You just have to find the problem you enjoy solving. Because that's what's going to set you apart. That's what's going to take you to where you want to be. That problem you enjoy solving. That's what's going to differentiate you from every other person who's just wishing and hoping without having something to give. Even in our everyday life, the example is there. For everything you want, you have to pay for it. Every single thing you go after, you pay for it. So why do you think? That's because every single thing has its own price. Every single thing has its own price. So why do you think it will be different this time? That things will just fall into your lap just like that, without you giving something. That if you become a victim so much, people start taking pity on you and change your life. No, the only thing you get is scrap left over. What no one wants. You become a dumping ground. Because it's too expensive to dispose the thing themselves, they use you as a dumping ground. So that's what victim mentality does for you. It does nothing for you in the long run. In the short run, it might bring you some sort of happiness, but in the long run, it keeps you exactly where you need to be. In that victim place, being victimized, thinking the whole world is against you. Why the whole world doesn't even know if you exist? Take for instance, if you go into your garden, can you tell me the amount of insects that are there or the amount of ants that are there? Of course they exist, but you don't take the time to count them. That's how human beings are. No one is actually taking notice of you except you, because everyone is so busy concentrating on their own life. There's too much problem for everyone to solve. So the only way you can have your own field is pick what you're good at and focus on doing it.